So let's start with the RvR Systems. I should probably zoom in a little. Like this. So first point is dynamic home realm porting. What does that mean? Every realm has the ability to teleport to specific locations in their own frontiers under certain conditions. So this is already... These conditions depend on the average player activity in the home frontiers. So basically you can port to, if you're hip, you can port to e-main, for example, or like the border or prefine. But if there are 40 enemy players on average over the last, let's say, half an hour in your frontiers, so in the hip frontier, then that port will be disabled. Because otherwise, you know, e-main is gonna be way too packed. But then the secondary port will open, and that is more towards Droomlegion or like the border keeps. So it's a very logical system. If there's more players in the frontiers, the less and less far that the home realm can teleport. At some point, all the ports will be disabled. These numbers are quite arbitrary, you know, 40, 80. This is an estimate. We don't really know how it's going to work. Is 40 too much or too little? We'll have to see that with testing. But that's a concept at least. And this is already active right now. So this is one of the things we really want to have tested and how it feels, you know, is there too many players, too few players? Is it regressing too fast or too short? So yeah. When you port in, obviously you're vulnerable because you're in the middle of an RvR zone. So you have a 10-second immunity timer, and there's like level 65 guards protecting you as well. The guards are not like invulnerable, so if you're really with the Zerg, you can probably swarm the point and then it'll be really annoying, but I hope that's not really going to happen in the alpha phase, but we may have to think about, like, you know, what if there really is a group of, let's say, well, the group can't be that high because then the port will be deactivated. So, but we'll see how it goes. You can type /realm like to check the keep axis or the keep ownership, and it will also show which realm has which access to which zone. Next up is the bounty point and bonus cash-ins. So players can earn bounty points in the frontiers if they kill enemy players or monsters or keep guards or lords. And keep guards, I think, give double the amount of a normal monster. And lords, of course, even more. But this basically means that you don't have to kill players just to get bounty points. You will be able to grind mobs and still get, you know, a decent amount depending on how fast you kill them and your level and stuff like that. But more importantly, it's also the case that if you earn bounty points, 25% of what you earned during the time that you were online is converted in some sort of bonus bounty pool. Now, this bonus pool is not immediately active, so it's like in a temporary state, and it only becomes active if you cash it in at a guard of a friendly keep. But you can only cash them in the active zone. So if we go back to the point above where you have the dynamic porting, this determines where the active zone is. So if the primary port is available, then only the tertiary zone, like for instance e-main or Odin's or Hadrian's, is available to cash in your bounty points. So this makes it so in order to cash in your bounty points, you are quite limited if there's few players online, and that congregates all the players into, you know, those 3 zones. Because obviously you still need a friendly keep to cache them in. So it's important first that you own the keep, otherwise you won't be able to cache them in. And second, you will probably have to port to your own realm to run and then cache them in, which you will probably typically do, you know, at the end of your session. You know, let's say you earned 3,000 bounty points during your session. So 25% of that is 750, I think. So you will then be able to cache that in if your realm owns the keep in any of those zones. Now, it's possible that your realm does not own any of those keeps. Then you can still fall back to the keep in your home realm that is the closest to the primary zones. So this means Dun Crimtane, Care Slag, and Not More Fast. Those keeps are right next to the primary zone, but you can only hand it in there if it's within your home realm and you own the keep. So Alps are able to hand it in Care Slag if they own Care Slag. But mids and hips, even if they should own that keep, they cannot hand it in there. So this is all a lot of explanation for a fairly simple system, I think. Once you get the concept, it's pretty straightforward. But the main idea is simply that you earn bounty points, there you accumulate a bonus on those bounty points, and you can collect that bonus if you talk to a friendly keep guard within an active zone. That's basically it. Now, what are those bounty points for? There will be bounty point merchants who will be able to sell you, you know, alchemy loot, some sort of quality of life stuff, speed gem, patterns, you know, basic patterns, common patterns. You know, anything to get you started in RvR or just to get you the first step into RvR. What happens when you kill a player with a bonus? Now, obviously, anyone who's active in the frontiers will likely start accumulating these bonuses because anything you do earns these. So you can pretty much assume that most players that you will kill have an active bonus. What happens then is that you will take 50% of their bonus and add it to yours. With the only exception that the player who dies does not actually lose the bonus. So dying is not a problem, but killing someone is a real benefit. Because especially if someone, say in the last example, gets a 750 bonus, then you will get half of that on top of the bounty points that a player naturally gives. So this makes it interesting to, you know, look for players who have farmed a high bonus or just kill enemy players and hope that they have a high bonus. It is, however, the case that a player cannot be endlessly milked for his high bonus, so to say, because the more you kill a player, the less and less his bonus will be. So it's like an inbuilt mechanism to prevent that the bonus gets farmed on some kind of, you know, multi-realm forbidden deal or something. So even if you try that, it just won't be profitable. Obviously, when you do cash in the bonus, it will reset everything to 0. So you also won't be worth any bonus again. So you typically want to catch the players before they reach the keep rather than when they run back from the keep. So inside the active bonuses and inside the RvR zone in general, there will be bonuses for XP, and in the active zone also bonuses for bounty points. So players gain XP bonuses in mainland dungeons, Tidranki, frontier zones, frontier dungeons, and Darkness Falls. So 10% for mainland dungeons and Tidranki, and then 20% for frontier zones regardless of where in the zone, and then 25 for the dungeons, and 30% for Darkness Falls. Now, if there is an active zone, this bonus will transform into 40% XP and 20% BP as well, bounty points. So this is another encouragement for players to be active in the active zone. Why? Because the active zone is only active when there's few players online. When there's few players online, you want them all to be in a relatively concentrated zone. Otherwise, you know, it'll be way too spread out, people will be way too safe, and it'll be boring for everyone, basically. But the fact that it scales on player activity means that you also won't be too limited in your options when there's a lot of players online and a lot of activity in the frontiers. The participation system is also in the game, and this is very similar to those who have played Titranki. Players can earn contribution points by being active in the frontier zones, and this in turn will grant them realm points, gold, bounty points, and also XP. And this depends on how active you are, and how active you are is measured by killing an enemy player, being killed by an enemy player, killing a keep lord, and cashing in your bounty point bonuses. And this scales with how many bounty points you turn in. So in the last example, let's say you had 750 bonus. That will mean you have a 75 value of your cash in. So that's pretty high. Now 750, that means, I think I said 3000 bounty points. You earn that fairly easily. I would say either you kill a lot of players, but that's obviously not that easy, or it's probably like 70, 80 mobs or something, which is, you know, doable, but it's not something that you do in like 2-3 minutes. But all the values here are still something that we need to balance and look like, are we giving too much? Are we giving too little? Is it not worth it? You know. But in general, the idea is you get RPs, because this gives RPs. You get RPs for killing an enemy player, which is obvious. Being killed as well. So if you go to the frontiers and you get killed, at least this is there to prevent you from, you know, being a total loss on your investment and not gaining anything other than just being killed. And then cashing in your bounty points also contributes. So this is the cap. When you reach 100 out of 100, you will earn 300 RPs, 25 gold, 500 BPs, and then 5 yellow mobs worth of XP. Not really sure how well balanced all that is. This is just the starting values. We'll have to see in well, alpha will be hard because everyone is already level 50, but at least we'll be able to check those. However, there is also a realm rank limitation on this, and the best value you get out of this is when you're realm rank 1 to 3. So if you are realm rank 5, which will be the case when you are in the alpha tomorrow, you will only get 25% of this. So the max value will be 75 RPs, which is, you know, you could say it's free RPs, so why not? But 75 RPs, yeah, it's not really tremendous. But we'll have to see how that scales as well. Maybe 75 RPs is still too much for R5. We don't really know that yet. And then it scales down, and at realm rank 7, you basically get one measly symbolical realm point. But the idea is to help lower rank players catch up and then scale it down. Obviously, when the server launches, let's say in beta or at launch, we probably don't even want, let's say, these bonuses, like, or even these at the start, because, you know, the very first players, there's no real point for giving them 15 realm points when they're the only players who are realm rank 6, because This is designed to help players catch up, not to get ahead faster. Okay. This entire system is then further impacted. If you are under level 50, you will get more. That's basically the rule. And unless you're under level 35, because then you're gray, and you know, it's not really the intention to make being gray in the frontiers the best position to be in. But typically speaking, being between level 36 and level 50 will be the best position, just for like value, although obviously you're still weaker. So I doubt very many players will be like, oh, I'll just stay at level, you know, whatever, level 40 so I can earn more contribution points. Meanwhile, they'll just get killed all the time, so it's a bit of a decision that the player himself has to make, but I think most players will still decide to go to level 50 just because they want to be as strong as they can be, right? Okay, so a quick recap. Dynamic home realm porting. This is the ability for the home realm, and this goes for all realms, right? Alp, mid, and hip. They can all port to E-main, Odin's, Hadrian's, depending on how many players on average have been in their own frontiers. And this scales down if there's more players on average joining their frontiers. You can use /realm to check which realm has which port active. Then the bounty points, we kind of just covered that. You know, you earn bounty points, you get a bonus on that. You can then cash that in the active zone at the friendly keep, with the exception of when the only one active zone is active, then you get another keep, potentially turn it in. Killing players, you can collect 50% of active bonuses to add to your own. Now, obviously, this means you also need to still cash that in before you actually get them. So it's not like you kill them and then it's immediately added to your actual BPs. No, it's added to your bonus. So you still need to go to a keep as well. The bonuses, like we covered, so the most interesting is obviously the active zone. And then the participation system, it will be self-evident once you start playing it, all these things. It's nice to have like an overview, but at the end of the day, most of these things will be pretty simple to play with. Let's see what we have here. Classes and realm abilities, I'm gonna leave this one for last. I'm just gonna go through the quality of life stuff, unless there's any questions right now, then I can answer them regarding the system here. But I don't really see any questions popping up. Hey. Oh, sup, yes. So we'll move on to maybe this one, yes. Backupstyle and Castsequences. This is do you get contribution points from damaging players or just getting killing blow? You don't need to killing blow, you just need to have participated in the kill. So you don't need the death blow. But if you and 2 other players kill someone and you also did damage, then you will also get the points, yes. Oh. Okay. So moving on to the quality of life feature that we have installed thanks to the devs at OpenDeok, who have developed it like, I think, 1.5 years ago. Will actions like CC or heals reward points? No, not yet. It may come in the future that those contributions also are added, but yeah. It's the same bonus regardless who hits and damages. I'm not really sure I understand the question, but yes, if you have your stats, right? You have player stats in RvR, which say you have so many death blows, so many kills, so many deaths. Anything that counts as a kill in that context will count as a kill for a contribution as well. So you just need to hit them once, basically, and if the target then dies, let's say a minute later, you still get kill participation. I hope that answers the question. So, yeah, kill count. So this is something that we work together with, for which we work together with OpenDev devs. Now, they work closely together with us anyway, but this especially was one of their productions, and we're very, very excited about it. I don't think many people have actually tried it yet, but I've showed a video of it yesterday, and on a video it's not really, you really need to test it for yourself. But so one of them is, there's actually 3 components. One of them is automated style chaining. The other is, let's see, Backupstyle. And then there is Castsequences as well. We'll go in game in a second to showcase them as well, but for now, we have these videos as well. I didn't really finish this yet, partly because the website didn't work. So automatic style chaining is something that is enabled by default, because why not? We don't see any situation where you would not want this. Also because it is possible to bypass this system by just using the style directly for the first style, that is, but that will become clear in a second. What it does is it takes the final style in a style chain and it automatically tries to use all styles that are needed to end up at that style. So, for example, here I have Blizzard Blade on my quickbar, which is the 3rd in the chain. And in order for that to complete, I need to complete the first 2 styles first, right? What this does is it enables me to use the 3rd style every single time. Instead, what it will do is it will check, oh, before I can use this, I actually need the first style, then the 2nd style, and then I can use it. But every time you click it, it will check it. And it will check, oh, do I need the 1st, the 2nd, or can I use this? And based on that, it triggers the one that's necessary for the next step. So in this video, I just click this style all the time. What happens? I hit the site first, then the follow-up, and then finally the style itself, even though I just been clicking this one all the time. Why is it useful? Obviously because you only now need 1 button for 3 styles, and it's built in. You don't need any auto hotkey, you know. Can you combine multiple chains? Yes, we will try that in a second in game. Can you pair this with anytime or parry block styles? Yes, that's the Backupstyle function. We will go on to that next. Also for perfect RV, you can just line up Creeping Death and it will perform PA. It's pretty self-evident. Yeah, I think your question is going to be answered here with Backupstyle. I'll just explain it briefly and then we jump into game. Backupstyle is basically, right now you can only set 1 style as a Backupstyle. We are working on making it so you can set multiple different styles depending on the style that you choose. But right now it's 1 universal style. And what it does is basically it checks if you already have a Backupstyle enabled during that round. If not, it will at the very, very last second still add this style. Can you combine multiple chains? I actually have not actively tested that. So let's jump into the game and check it out. I'm betting that it's possible, but I'm not really sure. So I'm gonna be a Blade Master, I think. So I'll just jump to Magmal. Will there be melee stun effect graphics? Yes, like normal, I think. Maybe you didn't see it on the mob there, but yeah, they will be there. Like normal. I don't think there's anything different. Let's see. Player class. Can you actually? Maybe I need to refresh for a second, but can you guys see my in-game screen? Yeah, okay. Nice. Player class, Blade Master, let's say. Okay, now I'm level 1. Very slow. That's level 50. Gives me gear as well, even though that's apparently not very correct. Having cloth armor. I think my realm is wrong. Okay. That's better. So, I have a shield. Let's say I want to be... I'm gonna go Pierce. Because I know those styles are good to use. So train, just go straight up 50 Pierce, 50 Celtic Duel. Let's see. Light tank balancing measure. Yeah, I think that's a bit too much though. Okay, let's see. We have. I'm gonna try for Thunderstorm, which is like a behind style follow-up, and then maybe Supernova as the one. I don't like my cloak. Let's see. I'm gonna use this one. So for the behind, I'm trying this. Yes, it works. Okay. The side. Yes, okay. This is all the style queue. Perfect. Now, let's say I want to use a backup style. I'm just gonna keep resetting because I do the bleed. Backup style slash, and then I need to use it. Oh, set. Backup style set. Okay. Let's say Supernova. So let's try it. Reset it. So now, on paper, my Supernova is my backup style, right? So I can just delete this. And this is a behind style, so if I use this now, technically I should fumble it. However, since I put my Supernova on the backup style, it might be able to combine it. I have not tested it, so we'll see. It just does it. So it works, right? So that was just me being anxious that it wouldn't work, but it does work. So this is a backup, a follow-up of a backup style, backed up by a whole chain of side styles. So try it again. Looks like it works. So now let's say in the middle of our side chain, our target is bugging out a little bit. Let's say in the middle of our side chain, our target is starts running. So then we suddenly hit from behind. So side chain 2 times, and then let's say it starts running. Boom. I didn't click that time, but yeah. So do it again. Let's say start running, and then the follow-up. There we go. You can do the follow-ups, yes. So like I just showed you, the follow-ups, they go there automatically. So the same thing, like I can interrupt my chain as well. So let's say I start with a behind chain, but then I go to the side, and then I go to the back again, and I only click one button. Now, as I said before, right now there's only one backup style. So let's paint another picture. Let's, for example, say I'm hitting him now from the front instead. So technically this should not work, and also I should not. Let me test. Actually, I'm not even sure if this works. But let's say the normal way would be to, if I want to back up a behind style with a down style, I can first use the behind style and then the down style as a backup. Obviously I'm in range, so it'll immediately fire, so I can't really show it yet, but the second round that my attack hits, I should be able to see what happens. So this will fumble because I only have this and a side chained. But now, aha, okay. So that makes it even more more OP, in the sense that what I did now is I created an effective backup between my behind style, my side style, and I was able to manually add another style. So this means I'm actually effectively backing up 3 styles rather than 1, which in my mind now sounds like it's extremely OP. But at the same time, the reason we're doing this is because otherwise almost every other melee player will need to install AutoHotkey to be competitive. And not only that, AutoHotkeys also got its flaws. Just gonna take a sip of drink. But it just further adds to the level of, you know, annoying stuff you have to do before you're able to play your character well. And we, as much as we can, we want to bring that back into the game itself. Speaking of which, it's becoming nighttime, and in my opinion, I'm not using any reshade. In my opinion, this is still very doable, very visible. We also increase the brightness so that you don't need to install reshade either. Yes, true. That's true. So if I manually, let's say I can, I'll use a piercing style as a side. Where is it? Copperhead. That's a good point. Absolutely, very newbie. But now I can. But what Seth said is very true. I can still override the whole system by actively using a backup style myself. So if I now, this is always gonna fail, but then if I then use Snow Shower and manually set up my Copperhead as backup style, which is the side style, then it will fail still, because, you know, this overrides any other. But I guess to really prove that, I need to set an anytimer as my backup style. So hang on. Backup style. Sets. And then this one. So now what this should do is it should immediately trigger the taunt, and it does. But now if I try that, and now I failed. So now this is first, and now I fail, because I keep backing it up with the side. So I keep failing. But if I don't back it up, then I hit because I have the anytimer. So yeah, it's, you know, AutoHotkey is still allowed, yes. because we can't ban it. That's part of the equation. We just cannot ban it. It's if we want to ban it, then it becomes, you know, we have to make, you know, look into your computer, and then that breaches all kinds of privacy laws and stuff like that, and we don't want to do that. We also don't want to start messing with that, because people who really want to, they will find a way to make it work. Also with the mouse and the keyboard bindings and stuff, it's just, yeah. But the idea behind this is that, and I personally, I will not use AutoHotkey on Blackthorn at all, because this is, for me, it's enough. As well as the next system, which is Castsequences. And with those two things installed, you know, I'm not gonna bother with fucking setting up macros. Also, because another reason, this system is fail-safe. It will not fail. AutoHotkey is kind of glitchy because the timings need to be right, and it's still sending packets from the client to the server. This is server-side, so this will always land. Whatever you do, it will land, which is a big advantage over AutoHotkey. Obviously, yes, you can still combine it with AutoHotkey and do all sorts of stuff, but I don't know. For me, if I can skip AutoHotkey, I would prefer to just fucking skip it and forget about it. Will this affect servers in large scale? You mean performance-wise? No. No. There's nothing funky going on in terms of coding that makes it heavy on the performance side, no. So it's a bit of a complex system once you start like combining all the styles, but at the end of the day, it works almost just like you would want it to. So I think that's the most important part, and it's really reliable, and you don't have to install AutoHotkey. So I think all those benefits combined, you know, I love this system so much. So let's go to the next one, which is Castsequences. Basically the same idea, just instead it's for styles, it's for spells. Now, with spells, you have much more room to, you know, to customize and stuff. So there are limitations to this. Did you confirm it could be done with multiple chains? Yes, we did. We just confirmed that. Yeah. Yeah, you can combine it with multiple chains, and it will understand that you're switching in the middle of a chain to another style. You know, you can watch the VOD if you want, or I can just show it. So let's see, we have / Backupstyle. Let's do the same as before. Set Supernova. Okay, delete these. Actually, let's use the piercing one. Copperhead, which has Cobra's Bite. This is the follow-up from the piercing side. So what I'm now doing is I'm backing up my side piercing chain with my oh no, this won't work. I need the behind style. Wasp sting, hornet sting. I need this one. I'm now backing up the piercing behind chain with the dual wield, the Celtic dual side chain. So, and Dex was asking, does it? Can you do evade, parry, side, back anytime all together? No, you cannot, because there's only one backup style that you can use at this moment. We're looking into it, like increasing it, but for now you can only set one backup style, but all chains will go automatically. Yeah, so 2 chains. So I'll just do one example. This is the behind chain. So that works. Now if I want to do the side chain, that works as well. And now if I switch in the middle, that also works. There we go. Okay, let's move on to Castsequence. So, command that allows the user to combine up to 3 spells or abilities. Could an item be swapped or added into Castsequence, for example, minstrel? Could an item be swapped? Item swap be added to Castsequence, for example, a minstrel automatically swapping to the right instrument before playing a song? There's 2 points to this question. Minstrels will be able to use harps, so you technically won't need to swap your instruments. And also, we currently do not have /switch enabled. So Blade Master, Mercenary, and all assassins are back to the old school dragging and dropping for now. But yeah, we'll probably look into making that, you know, more switch-like, but we don't want to give everyone just switch, and then you saw what happened on Eden, where everyone is just like constantly swapping with auto-hotkey, and it's becoming really annoying. So yeah. But no, you cannot for now use items in the Castsequence. Castsequence is only used for realm abilities and spells. So let's go into the game and make myself... Yeah, I think the style system is very, very interesting. If you're... I think Open Dark Deok has the code for it as well. Public, but I'm not 100% sure on that. So let's make myself a... What's a good class for... Let's make myself a Savage. Let's jump to Midgard then. I'm gonna be an Elf Savage. Okay. Jump to Mularn. Hey Zephyr, just curious where you're from. Your accent sounds Dutch like. I'm Flemish, so close, yeah. Yeah, the fumble mechanic on Eden is absolutely needed. I just earlier today watched the vid on what it was like before, and it was kind of ridiculous. Auto hotkey is now so prominent that you have to design with that in mind, otherwise it will fuck shit up. Or players will fuck shit up just because they can. I'm a Savage now, so I can train. My realm is correct. Okay. Still have ugly cloak, sadly. Okay. Savagery. Train. I'm not gonna train any styles because it's not really necessary to show this. But I'm gonna do a very, very simple beginning first, which is melee damage and haste, you know, the typical stuff. So, what you do to use it, Castsequence set 1. So now it says, oh, it says the next 3 spells you cast will be bound as a sequence. To finish binding a sequence early, type Castsequence finish. So now we use the melee damage and the haste. Boom. And now we type Castsequence, because we only want those 2, finish. Done. Now, to use it, we need to use Castsequence 1. There, we used it. But obviously, in combat you're not gonna type cast sequence once. So what you want to do is make a macro sequence 1 / cast sequence 1. There we go. So now we can use them whenever we want by pressing 1. And that's, you know, I'm dying from this, but that's how Savage works. Now this is the most simple version, of course. There's 2 instant spells, nothing special going on. So let's instead become a healer. Player class healer. Wait, so you can add 3 spells in a cast sequence. I thought the cap was 2. No, the cap is 3. You can add up to 3, which is also an arbitrary number because technically you could add as much as we want, but we want to keep it simple, and for most spells, you know, more than 3 is not really needed. Also, you can create more cast sequences than 1, so technically you can still add as many as you want. You will still you'll just have to use more buttons. Buffing is another thing that we will come to later. We also have quality of life for that. But, so we're healer now. Level 50. Ah, my cloak is better now. Great. I have a staff. Okay, just gonna use a hammer. Don't really need it though. Train. Back. Sure. Back. Mending, mending, I guess. I'm just randomly speaking, right? Oh, I should maybe use insta heal. Yeah. So I still have my macro set for cast sequence 1, so we can just bind something to cast sequence 1. Let's say, for example, what do we want? Let's say we want an actively cast mess. Yeah. And then a cure mess, sure. And then maybe a haste debuff. No, let's actually show you what happens if we add a disease cure. So cast sequence set. Set 1, of course. There we go. So the mez, cure, the cure mez, and the cure disease. Oh, the cure disease does not work because a spell sequence can only contain 1 harmful and 1 helpful spell with cast times. So let's say I use a instant cast spell instead. Boom, my sequence is now complete. Why? Because we don't want to use cast sequences for queuing up different spells. If you want to queue up your different spells, you just need to hit it again, you know? We're not trying to overwrite the internal mechanics of the game. Cast sequence is more used for multiple different shouts at the same time, or using an offensive and a defensive spell at the same time, or using a casted spell and multiple instant spells at the same time. Or let's say an ability like you want to use Purge and Speed of Sound, for example, on a minstrel at the same time, or like in sequence, because it will also remember the sequence, right? So now if we target a friendly dummy, it will try to cure mess. But if we target an enemy dummy, it will resist it. It will first try the instant spell and then the mess spell. And this is all in one button. So you can cure someone and you can mess someone with the same button. And something else as well. So yeah, this is very can be a very complex system, but it's also a very simple system. At least we try to keep it as simple as we could. Realm abilities are in the mix, so let's say I want to use MCL as well. Or let's say Purge. Then I can do that. Let's say I want to use Purge. For some reason I want to Purge Miss and use that, the hasty buff. Then I do cast sequence. Set 1. Then the Miss, Purge, this one. Notice that it also doesn't... Oh, I'm on a GM account, so you don't see it, but it just... Once you have cast sequence set active, it won't actually use the spell or the cooldown of it, so... Otherwise you'd have to invest like 30 minutes for long arrays just to put them in a cast sequence. That's not the case. So now it should purge and yeah. So, and here you also see the order in which it happens is the one I put it in. I put this in first, however, I started casting it last because the rule is the instant stuff always happens first and then the cast stuff. So, purge first. Oh, this is much in the way. Purge first, then the hasty buff, and then finally the miss. Can you check what spells you bind on sequences? I think so. I'm not really sure. Maybe not. You can check it by trying to cast it, I think. Yeah, or remembering it. Or what you can also do is do it like this, and putting it on your bar somewhere, and putting this next to it, or making 2 of these, so you remember. Oh, this sequence is 1, 2, 3. You know, it's a bit up to the player, but it's a good point, and we might make a command where you can see, okay, this sequence gives those spells, just to make sure. It's a good point. I'll note it down. Cast sequence. Commands to check. To check active sequences, I guess. Okay. So I'm just gonna check my messages quickly. If you have any questions, I think now is the time. Do you have an auto UI setup system? Maybe we do. Maybe we don't. We do. We'll get to that later. It's people asking dubious questions. Oh, one of the creators of the system was watching the stream, and he just DM'd me that he will add the commands that the viewer just asked about. So I didn't even need to write it down. Okay. All right. We are old and forget a lot. Real. Same. I mean, not that old, I guess, but starting to get that way. So, this completes the auto hotkey warfare, I guess. So now on to the next multi-spec, which is what the other viewer was wondering about. This is a command that allows players to transition between multiple specs, much like Eden did, because it's a brilliant idea, and also because the game is fucking shit at respecing, so it's a problem that absolutely needs solving. In my opinion, at least. And one of our new devs tried to do it, and in my opinion he did a pretty good job, so I'll just showcase it quickly. Let me just watch and see what needs to be done. Spec active, spec show, spec activate. Okay, so spec active / spec active. My currently active spec is 1. Okay, so spec show. Spec show 2. My spec show 2 is automatically set to no spec at all. So what we're gonna do is spec. I need to cheat. Activate 2. And then it will automatically log out because actually P level 1. It will automatically log me out. If I was still on my GM level, then it would log me out instantly. But now it will just say a warning and then... Oh, no, actually, I interrupted the process because I wanted to set up some UI stuff first, just to make sure that it's visible and purge. Not that it really matters. So spec activate 2, accept. So now we're gonna go to spec 2, which is currently unset, I think. As we saw earlier, spec 2 has 1 mending, 1 augmentation, specification 1 as well. So now we log out and then we log in again. And we are to my original layout. And here as well on bar 5 where I was earlier, there's nothing, as expected. My spec is also back to 111. So basically, now to double check, I can go back again. I can put some stuff here just to make sure that what I did earlier also saved. So spec activate 1 again. Okay. Now we're logging out again. We're going back to the one we were previously at. And then the question is, will dual spec be buyable with bounty points or free to use? Tomorrow it will be free to use. You can just play around with it and see. But on live it will be probably... The first one will be quite early on, let's say at level 10 or so, that you can unlock it, maybe with an epic quest or something like that. But then after that, if you want to add more than that, you will, you know, have to do some kind of end game stuff or a quest or... Oh, an error has occurred. I guess we broke it. Okay. So apparently there are still some bugs, but normally I think if you don't interrupt the logout process, it should work now. Because we already saw that it worked once, it just didn't work to go back. But this is something that our devs will have to look into to make sure it's fail-safe. Okay, so let's see. I think I also still need a different account, so I'll link my third account. Okay. Enter a name. Okay. Map not available. No, I think that's my UI. It's because my UI is trying to show Magmel, but the overview works fine. And I think the UI only has a map for the new magmill, and we're using the old one, so yeah. Okay. So let's see. Multi-Spec, I'm considering it finished. There's clearly some bugs, so be a little bit careful with using it. They're gonna look into it right now, but for now, that's basically how it works, and this is the idea of the video. We're not gonna like troubleshoot the whole thing why it's failing. But yes, this is going to be available. Buff potions, this is also interesting, I guess. As a question we get a lot, like how do you buff if you use potions or charges? There will be no charges. I can tell you that. Like there will be charges, but there will not be like buff charges. You will not like buff strength con or dex quick with a charge. All of that will be buff potions. So here we have all the stat, armor factor, and haste charges will be gone. Those will all be potions. So everything will just be potions, and then within that system there will be limitations. Straightforward. There will be 2 unique stat buff potions and 2 unique secondary buff potions, and then 1 damage shield potion, because who cares about damage shields? Otherwise nobody would use it. So yeah, the charges you can forget about. You know, it's no longer a thing. What charges will be used for is like in combat. Let's say you want a heal charge or a life drain charge or a DD charge to erupt someone or a dot charge for damage or a health regen charge, a power charge, you know, stuff like that. That will be why you want to use a charge. And then it will all be on the same single timer. Like I think it's 2 minutes, 90 seconds, something around that. So it will be, you know, either you use this charge or that charge. Done. And the same with buffs. The buff system will just be this system, and then you're also done. And you'll be able to reuse them like instantly almost. So let's go into the game. So this, like, let's say I'm a new character. I go talk to the trainer. Boom. Now I have 10,000 bounty points, I think. Yeah. And then rank 5. And 10 platinum, but gold is account-wide, so every time you make a new character, you get 10 platinum and level it to 50. So yeah, you get rich fast. That's why it's alpha, I guess, right? You also get craft skill. So in case, let's say in the earlier example where I was a blade master and I want slower or faster weapon, you can just craft it because you have this craft skill and you have 10 platinum. So for buffs, you can talk to the bounty point merchants, and they will have free barrels. Barrels are 100 charges, by the way. So let's just, this is one thing I have to explain as well. All the buffs are separate except for this one, subsistence buff, and then strength con, for example, and then let's say dex quick. So I want to use dex quick, I want to use strength con, and I want to use all buffs. This costs all the buffs there are, all the stat buffs, but they're a much lower value. So for example, my window's a little bugged, but whatever. For example, I want to use dex quick, strength con, and then I want to use also this one. That's supposed to not happen, and I reported it. But okay, this yeah, this is wrong. Let's say I want to use another another potion, another buff that does work. Let's say base con. Yeah, this gives the right message. So I already have 2 active. So now I can't use this one anymore. If I delete one, then I can use this one. So, and normally what it's supposed to do, let's say I use the full buff. This one counts as one, like counts as one of the ones that we used. So you have to choose, do I want to use 2 spec buffs, a spec buff and a base buff, or 1 buff and a full buff. Now, the full buff, you can say, oh, well, everyone's just going to use the full buff. No, but the values are much lower. This is 30 value and the base buffs are 20 value. And the actual single target buff is 45 and the maximum is 50. And this is 70 and the maximum is 75. So that's much stronger than the full buff. The same goes for, let's say, what else we have? POM, we have Endu, we have Armor Factor, and I think Haste somewhere as well. Speed, and then Damage Shield. So speed, let's say, let's delete these. Speed, and then AF, and then endurance. So endurance, AF, but I can't use the speed anymore. So now I have to choose. Do I want to have the endurance or do I want to have the haste, let's say? Now, this is where it becomes interesting because normally you would not want to run without endurance, right? But at the same time, if you're really interested in being stronger, then this is probably the best way to go. And you can rely on, let's say, another potion to use instant endurance or a charged endurance or even second wind's realm ability and rely on that instead and then run this. That's a tactical choice. Or you skip, for example, the armor factor and you do use the invigoration and you get endurance. Now, the endurance buff on Blackthorn is not as powerful as it would be on other servers because blue and yellow endurance buffs, endurance region buffs, they only go up to Endure Region 2, and then on top of that you get Long Wind 1 and Long Wind 2 for the yellow pot. What that means is the value of a potion is just not that good. Yes, you will be able to perma-sprint, but no, you will not be just perma-spam all your styles as a non-endurance class and get away with it. So it's mainly to balance the endurance classes, but to still give players a way to get around quicker with perma-sprint, because just running without sprint is absolutely stupid, and it just wastes your time. So on top of that, so just to complete the picture, you can use the Dex Quick, for example, and Strength Con, let's say, and then also damage shield. Now you're fully buffed, quote unquote, Blackthorn standards. But as you can see, I just casted them like almost instantly, and yeah, you don't really have to wait. Also, there's 100 charges here. The buffs are not that expensive. The only thing that you do need is alchemy loot, and if you want the best buffs, you will need alchemy loot to add to your recipe to craft them. And they are available here for 50 bounty points per piece, or you can also farm them in the frontiers. Yeah, they're craftable. Everything is craftable. Yeah. Can you use power region pot and endo pot together? You mean power region and endo region, or? Because yes, you can combine both regions, or you can also choose the health region if you want, but there is also the limit of 2 pots. So replenishment and invigoration, yeah, that's possible. But now if you want to add an AF buff to that, it will say no, you can't do that. So you do have to choose. So this brings us to the next point, which is speed in general. There is a speed gem on Blackthorn, but I'll answer the questions first. That's whack, yes, absolutely. So hey, I'm not really sure if that's positive or negative comment, but I'll go with it. So haste AF, end region power, health region, yeah, 2. You can only have 2 of those at the same time, yeah. Obviously this is, again, this is still alpha, this is a system we're going with right now. I know that for haste, AF, end region, power region and health region, only 2 slots is quite limited. But at the same time we want to, you know, make the player choose meaningful stuff. But it is possible that, let's say for example, we open it up to 3 slots for secondary and we put in the damage shield in there as well, and then you can choose 3 secondary buffs. That's possible as well. We can still tweak it, but for now it's 2, 2, and 1. The problem I think with 3 is that, you know, almost every class is gonna have the complete kit that they really want. So caster may use POM, endurance, and AF, and the tank may use AF, haste, and endurance. And basically you have everything. Yeah, okay, you don't have damage shield and healing, but if you have to choose between those 2, obviously nobody's gonna choose healing or damage shield. Can a player craft a potion which will have a combined power? No, the combined does not exist because there's a limit. Is there a celerity buff? Yeah, only healers have it because we're on a patch limit where where Hibernia and Albion didn't get it. But we are looking to, coming back to the regen question, we are looking back to maybe buff the health regen potion a little bit, because right now it has a very hard time competing with, you know, endurance regen and power regen. So, but we'll see about that, you know. There's also the concern where players can, you know, in the middle of a fight, swap their buffs around and be like, oh, now I need to cast faster, so I swap my strength con with a base dex quickly. Yeah, we also don't want that, but we have no real protection mechanic against that just yet. We will have to see how much it is abused, you know, to get around the limit. And I expect it fully to be abused heavily in the way that it's possible to abuse it, obviously, but yeah, we'll have to see. Maybe it can be a system where using it tactically within a fight is possible, or maybe we don't allow using buff potions when they're in combat. I don't know. We'll have to see how problematic it is, but for now this is kind of how it works. Has charge use already been ironed out? Do they all share the same reuse CD, or are they in various categories? And if so, what are they? Are you actually watching the stream? I covered all this. Yeah, so charges, they have been ironed out. They're all on the same timer and they're all in the same category. So it's all like in combat stuff. Either you choose between a DD or like an offensive charge, or like a defensive charge, like using a mana charge, or let's say a heal charge, something like that. Nah, it's okay, it's okay. I was just kidding. Like I press anything other than targets nearest. Appreciate the message, Zed. Okay, let's see. So where were we? Speed, running around, being slow. So we have a custom item here that is usable to get hastener speeds, and hastener speed is, let's just go check quickly. I can use the item in a second, but so hastener, just to verify, hastener speed is 147%, which is with sprint is like this fast. You know, it's not super fast, but it's kind of fast. Player class Enchanter. Player level 50. Enchanter, Warden, Runemaster, Healer, Sork, and Thurgist are the classes with the caster speed. And on this server, the caster speed is 167, which is 20 points or 20% faster than Hastener speed, which is quite significant, I would say. So Hastener speed does not really compete with caster speed. It's just there to give soloers and other players a bit of a speed boost, so that they're not sitting like all the time at fucking sprint speed, and then looking for a Hastener at some friendly keep that they happen to run by, and then they get hit by aggro, and then they lose their speed, and then... No, you'll be able to just use speed jump. So how does it work? It doesn't work straight up. Doesn't do shit. Probably the messaging should be a little bit better. But what you do is you type /mount. Oh. And then you drop it in there. Now you have a mythical horse that doesn't exist. And now you can use it. Cast time is 5 seconds. You can't be in combat for, you know, I think you need to be out of combat for 20 seconds. And now the gem is also out of your inventory, because I hate inventory bloat. So you can just close this, and now you can just keep using it. It has, at the moment, 999 charges. So you should not run out. Even if you do, it's currently free, so I accidentally deleted it, so I have to open mount again. So yeah. Speed 3. I think it is speed 3. I'm not really entirely sure. I'm not also entirely sure what you're referring to, either like enchanter speed or the gem speed. We're talking about buff bots related to buffs. You're able to buff players outside of your... Are you able to buff players outside of your group? Yes, always. I'm not really sure how that's not the case. You mean as a cleric, for example, right? Or... You'll have to specify that question a little bit more. Okay, so that's the speed gem covered. It's probably important that I do cover this, because nobody's gonna realize that you have to put it in the mount slot otherwise. So, but we'll also explain it, hopefully, to people. Okay. There was just a range check on buffs. Oh, you can buff random people. Yeah, but I'm not really sure if there's... We can test that. I'm not actually sure if it's active at the moment. Okay. Let's say I want to give a name, some buffs. And the name has buffs, which is all good and well, but what is the range? Not sure if we have a range. Where there is a range, and it's about... It's probably not updating really frequently. Yeah. It's like about this range. I don't really know where exactly it is, but it's... Yeah. There is a range, yeah. It kind of lags behind a bit, because it's a feature that doesn't really need a lot of update checks. But if you go too far, you lose them, yeah. But I had to check it, because I even didn't know myself. I thought we had, but I wasn't sure. Okay. So that's only for GM's idiotic touch it. You can only have one account, right? No buff bot. Yes, that's correct. Only one account. Well, you can have multiple accounts, but you can't log in two accounts at the same time. Are the buff bots affected by buff gear? I'm sorry if I missed you covering this. It's a good question, but we're on a patch level where buff gear doesn't exist. However, this brings me to a point that I did not plan to consider, but it's actually an important point, and I have not tested it myself either. So, there is one realm ability in the game that... Wondering where my buff potions are. There is one realm ability in the game that increases the value of your buffs. So let's train, and that is Mastery of the Arcane. Now, first, let's double check. Barrel of Might, 70, and here it says 7 plus 70 buffs. Okay, delete it. Now let's say I have Mastery of the Arcane, 9. Oh, so that's RAs, we'll cover that later. Let's say 5, and then we need, I think, Augmented Acuity, 3, and then we can go 9. Now, if we want to use it again, it still says 70, but... Okay, 70. So apparently it doesn't affect the buff potions. Which is a design decision. We can still make it so it does affect it, but for now. That would have been the only way to affect your self buffs. But it seems you cannot, which is probably a good thing, honestly. So we'll keep it like that for now. But now to double check if the RA actually works and it's not a potion thing only. Let's reset my spec. Let's go like this. And then nurture, and then Dex Quick, for example, cast it on myself. 76. The cap is 93, I believe. So if I now spec Master the Arcane, it should increase. We have tested most active RAs, but passive RAs, there's like so many of them. We want to leave you guys something to test as well, right? So Master of the Arcane, 9, and Augmented 3, Train. So now this should cap my buffs normally, hopefully. Oh, I already have it, of course. Boom! It does. It does affect it, yes. 93. Okay, so now I'm capped. I don't even think you need Master of the Arcane 9, but so it does work on casted buffs, but it does not work on potion buffs. So you cannot, you know, be a class that has Master of the Arcane and then use potion buffs and be fully buffed. It's possible. Any chance to see Frost Elf on mid? Yes, on Eden. No, I'm just kidding. There is a chance that we introduce like the new races after launch with some big event or something that you can, or you can unlock it if you do a certain quest chain or some challenge or something. But for now, the TOA races are disabled for now, and they will stay disabled for a while. But maybe on launch at some point they will become available. Okay. And also, respeccing your race will probably not be available standard. you know, on Phoenix, I think you could respec from Kobold to Norseman if you like were a warrior or something. Yes, I know it's nice that you can do that, but if you create a person in a world, the person's supposed to be the same person. You know, it's not, oh, now I'm fucking trans race thing or something. It's a matter of immersion. So that said, you will probably be able to switch your starting stats because that's something internal. Nobody knows which starting stats you have. So, you know, that's a level of immersion that we want to like draw the line at. Where were we? I think we've pretty much covered the buffs right now. So these are all the examples. The max value for specs is 75, for base is 50. Why would you ever buff a base? For example, if you're a champion or a Thane, you already have a good strength con buff, so you maybe only want to use dex quick and then maybe base strength or something. These are the full buffs, 20 base, 30 spec. And then AF, I think this is 65 and this is 70. And then haste is 14, 17. And then the regions. They will last 20 minutes. And if you use them early, I think I can show you. Yeah, it doesn't really display properly, but if I use it again now, it's supposedly permanent. Oh no, but you do see the duration here. Yeah. If you look closely, you see the duration is now 30 minutes. So 30 minutes is the max. So let's say your potion is at 7 minutes left, and you use it again, you will now instead have 27 minutes. Phoenix did that back in the day, and I really liked it, so I asked our devs to install it. So yeah, it should be quite comfortable to use. Okay, so that's all covered. Buff command, also interesting. Okay. One of our devs just DM'd me with the feature that was asked earlier in the stream, and he already has it working, so that's great. Let's see, buff command is, I don't know if Eden has this, but Phoenix again was the pioneer of this feature, which we're really standing on the shoulders of giants for a lot of these qual features, because many of these things have been done before on other servers, and obviously we're taking inspiration from them, and they're sometimes really solving problems that are really annoying to face if you don't solve them. So I am a druid now, so let's go and jump to Drumligan, because this feature only works in border keeps and in capital cities. Not that you really need it in capital cities, but it's whatever, I guess. Let's see. Questions. 30 minutes buff is better, yeah. What if I want to buff myself? Just type my tool name. You can just target yourself. So I'll show it. Slash buff, let's say strength. And then just leave it like that and have myself targeted. And it will start buffing. Now I can obviously slash buff strength, and then what you do is you put a comma and then no space. Well, let's use strength, why not? Strength, con, dex, haste. Not really sure. Let me cheat. Haste is H-A-S. Okay. Haste. Okay. So you do have a cast time still, but it costs everything at the same time. We could make it instant, but that's a bit jarring. So you have like 3 seconds investment for saving maybe 15 seconds. So you can also do /buff all, and it'll just buff all. You're done. Even the resistances and the, like, the damage add and stuff. Also, I don't think damage shield breaks CC here, so you're free to just use damage shield liberally. Before I really say that confidently, I should probably test that. Let's just warp this guy to me. Now he's getting the buff effect that I buffed him earlier with because he's in range again. Let's buff him with, I need to spec nature, I think. Yep. Let's buff him with the damage shield. My skill list is a bit fucked up because I swapped classes. But obviously you don't have to worry about that if you're a player without GM level powers. So we have nature, damage shield. We're now checking whether damage shield breaks CC or not. It's pretty important to know, actually. So how do I test this? Actually, I'm just gonna buff damage shield to both of us. And then one of us has to root each other. Dual accepts. Okay. We can start fighting. Making player level 50 for a second. Heal him up. So now one of us has, I still, my brain is not functioning properly, but. Okay, so if I root him, and he hits me, then he's gonna get damage and he should be free of root if damage shield works. Works in breaks CC. Why is it not working? You're already in a duel? Ah, of course. Because I'm a GM. And I'm invulnerable. So now I'm a normal person. No offense to you guys. P level name. Okay. There we go. We both have damage shield, but only one of us really needs it. And now I can root him. He's rooted. I need to stand a little bit closer. Can hit me. Okay. And he's still rooted. But he did get hit for a lot of damage, apparently. Looks like the damage shields are a bit overtuned here. But yeah. That may actually be a balance concern, because 31 damage is pretty hefty. But yeah, so feel free to use damage shield to spend points into damage shield if you're really a damage shield fan, and use them in RvR as well, because you no longer have to worry about the root situation. Okay. So that's the buff command. Only usable in border keeps and in capitals, as mentioned before. We may probably in the future also enable it in main towns and cities, you know, like in Magmel and stuff. But for now, it's just border keeps. But it's i50 anyway, so it's not gonna be much PvE going on. You can technically level from level 1 if you want to, but yeah. So next up is auto grouping So this is another feature of Phoenix, I think, initially. I mean, obviously other MMOs also do this, so. There's a couple of commands. I'll briefly go over it theoretically, and then we can try it in game. In game it's obviously going to be very straightforward, but whatever. So there's a queue. You can join the queue, outer group queue, and then you join it. Outer group leave, then you leave it. Very straightforward. There's also a leadership check. Every group needs a leader. That's just how it is. It's the natural way of things in Dark Age as well. A group does not function if everyone's like, what are we gonna do? Everyone's just standing there around, waiting for someone to take initiative, and then eventually the group disbands because nothing happening. When someone says we're gonna go there, everyone's like, okay, sure, whatever. And then if the guy is right and he's leading the group to a place where everyone's satisfied, then he's the unofficial official leader. That's usually how it goes, or someone takes initiative and just builds a group and goes from there. But with auto grouping, obviously, you don't have that mechanic built in, so we're allowing players to say, okay, I want to be a leader, so you toggle it on. Or you can toggle it off if you say, I don't want to be a leader, someone else has to do it, fine. But we'll also take into account, you need at least one leader per group, obviously. Group size, this system is for now catered to level 50 RvR. They will probably be expanded to PvE as well, but for now the size is 4 or 8, smaller or full, depending on what you want to do with the group. The leader decides that, obviously. It asks whether you want non-50s in the group, but it will not take grays, so the limit is 35, but if you enable it, anyone between level 36 and 49 will also be able to join. It checks if you want stealthers. If you do, there's 2 stealthers max per group. If you want more stealthers in a group, you should uninstall the game, or manually invite those people, and then you can still do it. But so based on this, it selects for certain parameters, right? So the outer group checks for, okay, do we have a leader? And then the second check is, do we have a support class, and do we have a speed class? And if there's no primary speed class, it will check for the secondary speed classes, like the Enchanter and the Turgis and the Sork and Rune Master, stuff like that. And then based on those, it will try to always look for support class and a speed class first, leadership first, and then it will start building. So it's not like you can turn outer group on and then you're suddenly in a group with like 2 heroes and a Nightshade, and you're like, what the fuck is this? And everyone leaves, and then you join the queue again, and there's the same 2 heroes and the Nightshade in there. Meanwhile, the Bard and the Druid are building in their own group, not in another group, and they're like, why is nobody joining? And yeah, so if they would then turn on other group, then obviously the hero and the Nightshade, they would be able to join. But let's try it in game. I'm just gonna set my P levels again, otherwise I forget. So I don't know what class I am here. Also a druid, let's say Blade Master. Player level 50. And this one is already 50, so now if I can do auto group queue, I've been added to the auto group queue. This one as well. Auto group leader, for example. Your current setting is false, so I'm gonna say I am a leader. Okay, and auto queue. on. Oh, Q, sorry. Auto group Q. There we go. Now, does it actually match us? Apparently it does. So now we're in a group together. It is what it is. I don't really know the guy, but yeah. It should fastly improve the group system, and it should also take into account leadership, support, and speed classes, so you don't get merged into a shitty group. Because I am a support now, that's a DPS. It's already at least support and DPS and a leader, so it matches. I don't really know the exact logic, like can two DPS group each other at all or not? I don't know. Maybe it depends on whether one of them is a leader or not, but for the player, for you guys, it's just like, can I group with people? Yes, no, just enable the queue and see what happens, I guess. If it's really bad, then we'd like to have some feedback on it. Okay, so next up is, let's see, loot templating and patterns. So maybe group size could be defined by a number, not only small or full. Yeah, that's probably a good idea, but this is like the minimum viable product of the implementation, so we went with 2 distinctions. Yeah, but yeah, it's a good idea to make it more granular, I guess. Okay, yes, this is lair, and I dropped some loot on the ground to take a picture. All loot on Blackthorn has been reworked by hand. Obviously, it's not so important now for i50 because, as you saw earlier, when you talk to the trainer, you get full loot set with procs. So you're basically good to go. But once we go to beta, obviously you will need to gear out your character back in the old days. But we have added a lot of loot to all the mobs, and we have tweaked and improved all of the existing classic loot as well. So if you kill a mob, you should still sometimes find the loot that was on there originally, but you'll usually also find new pieces of loot as well. It was a lot of work, trust me, and it's probably not done also. I think we still need most of the hip frontier zones, and other than that, maybe some of the frontier dungeons as well, but other than that, I think most of it is done. But yeah, that's why it took so long to get to this stage. So templating, a lot of questions about this as well. The basic idea for templating is the basic idea for templating is very simple. Players should be able to template fairly easily and fairly early. Early, I mean before level 50, and on average, we want the average player to be able to be templated around level 45, let's say. Why? Because if you're lower than level 50, you're already weak, especially like in RvR. And if you're also weak on a gear aspect, like on a gear dimension, like there's really no point in participating in RvR. You saw earlier at the beginning of the stream, we showed that there's participation points you can get for being in RvR, which are higher if you're not level 50. But at the same time, if you then make it so, like back on the real classic, where gear was super hard to come by, and you typically wouldn't get templated before well after being level 50, then no one is gonna bother even setting foot in RvR before hitting level 50 and before getting templated, which is what we saw on the free charts as well. Uthgard, Phoenix, Eden has like the epic quests and stuff, which give you like basic decent gear, but still you'd still prefer to get templated first and then RvR. And that's just the kind of psychology that players have ingrained in them by now. Template first, RvR second. And I think it's a fair assessment of players to just say, this is a part I can control, this is a part of my power level that I can control, I need to invest in it first, and then I can start to compete. Perfectly normal. What we want to do instead is we want to roll with that idea, and then we want to just bring the whole process to a level that's way before level 50, rather than pushing players to 50 first and then templating them. Why? Because, like I said before, if you stall it and you push it past 50, almost nobody will be in RvR before 50. Why is that important? Because the more players that are in RvR that are not level 50, the lower the average threshold for RvR competitiveness there will be. So that means the total potential population for people in RvR is bigger. Why? Because it's the barrier of entry for RvR is lower, because the competitiveness of non-level 50 players is also not on like an equal level, but at least on a viable level. Someone who's level 46, 47, 48, who's already templated, I'm sorry, but if he plays well, you're gonna die. You're gonna lose in a 1v1. Especially if the class matchup is in his favor, then yeah, you have to watch out. If he's not templated, there's a good chance you do, double the damage that he does, because he's missing this resists and he's missing, some HP, and he's gonna be like pretty much paper, even though he's already kind of high level. So the goal is to bring as many non-50 players into the RvR cycle as we can, and templating is a huge part of that. Now, obviously this breaks a few things, because if you do that, then it means there is no drag and drop being super special or rare or, hard to get and a must-have for your template. It's impossible, because you need to have all the good items need to be available at a much earlier level. So you can't really expect players to, at level 40, for example, to go to the dragon and kill him, and then say, oh, I have my item now, I can template. No, loot will drop from much lower level mobs, and it will be much easier to get high utility gear much earlier. But then the problem is, like, how do you handle long-term gear progression? Because part of the fun in Dark Age Camelot is also the PvE and working on your character, working on your gear, becoming more powerful, not only in terms of realm rank, but also in terms of gear. So instead we have added a secondary stage to templating, which is much less impactful than your first template, but still something to work towards after you've already templated, and something you can then add to, let's say, dragons and legion and endgame PvE content. How do we do that? We do that by creating patterns, which is like a system for all endgame loot progression. It's a custom system, and it allows to do certain things. Increase or decrease the swing speed of a weapon by 0.1 or 0.2. So you have a 5.8 two-hander that you really want to be even slower, then you can find a pattern that makes your weapon slower for the weapon type that you're using, and then you can apply it, and you can turn it into a 6.0 weapon at most. But obviously, are you going to find it? That's the question. It's probably going to be hard to get that. If it's a popular weapon type, it's going to be expensive to get it, because a lot of players will want it. So yeah, that's where the end game loot suddenly comes in, right? Now, that's different from not being templated, right? If you're fully templated but your weapon is 5.8, it's not that you're suddenly unable to RvR. No, it would be nicer if you had 6.0, but you can still perfectly viably compete and, you know, play your class and do well. The 0.2 extra is just an extra, and it's nice to have, but other than that, it's not that impactful. It also increases the potency of your procs and charges, also within limits. What are the limits to lower raise these stats? The limits depend on the pattern type itself. So for weapon speed, it's minus 0.1 or 0.2, or plus 0.1 or 0.2. But for potency of procs and charges, it becomes a bit of a different system in that, let's say you have a 95 DD charge, you can now turn it at maximum to a 101 DD charge, which is, I think, 5 points extra or 6 points extra. And you can also increase the proc chance from 10% to maximum 12%. But the proc and charge patterns are the only ones where you have a chance for increasing those values, whereas the other patterns you have a guaranteed increase or change. Also, for the weapon speeds, it always remembers the original speed of the item, and the caps are set to 0.2 or plus or 0.2 minus. So for a 5.8 weapon, you can go either to 6.0 or to 5.6, but that's the limit. So it all revolves around the original speed of the item. You can still reapply the speed changes if you decide, oh no, now I want my weapon to be faster. It can be faster. It's up to you. Are OTDs a thing? Like one-time drops, Morning Glory, for Ranking Mayhem. One-time drops will be a thing, but I don't think they're all in the game yet. But oh, some of our world builders say OTDs should be in. Okay, perfect. We're further ahead than I thought. That's even better. Maybe we'll add some new OTDs one day, but it's not really a priority at the moment. Okay, so we went over the procs and charges. Like I said, you have a chance to increase the value of your proc or charge up to a certain limit. Usually it's like 5 or 6 points extra. So you have like a heal, which is like 80 value or something. It can go to up 86 or something. You'll have to see, try a game like when you reach the cap and when you don't. And there's a difference in rarity in these patterns. So you have, like, for example, a common pattern or a rare pattern. A rare pattern will usually like either give better stats or give better chances at stats or give better skins or stuff like that. There's also a pattern that will boost the level of an item to level 51, and I think it will be only usable on like level 50 or like level 49 weapons. So if you find a weapon that's like just not good enough level-wise, you can still upgrade it to level 51 and consider it for your template. That said, I need to add a little note here. On Blackthorn, there will also be a system to enhance regular drops at lower levels, and that system will cap at like level 48 or 49. So it's possible that you will be able to boost, like, let's say level 47 weapon to 49 and then use the pattern to really make it an endgame worthy item. That makes it so some items, like a piece of armor or something, is like level 49 and you want to use it, but it's like 49, so you will be able to solve that problem. And patterns will be part of that solution. Quality as well. You can craft your template, for example, in 99% quality, and then later on increase it to masterpiece without having to recraft it into masterpiece. Obviously, you're still limited for imbue value for spellcrafting purposes because it's 99, but you know, if your stats are capped anyway, and you're like, I don't want to redo the whole template, you can invest in patterns, although those patterns obviously also will come at a cost. So maybe it's cheaper to just craft an MP item, maybe not. You'll have to see. Then finally, there's also glows and skins, which is, everyone knows glows and skins. They're amazing. But they will, for the i50, they will be available on the bounty point merchants for bounty points. But on live, there's a good chance that glows, for example, will be quite rare to come by, and certain tiers of skins will also be very hard to come by, almost impossible even. Some skins will be so exclusive that you can expect to see one of them once or twice per year, for example. We are very much a classic server in that regard. If you are very heavy on the Dragon Slayer armor or stuff like that, those things will be extremely hard to get on Blackthorn. Just because if you don't limit it, eventually everyone runs around like that, and yes, it's nice, but at the same time, the whole classic atmosphere takes a hit as the server ages, because you know, people are somewhat expecting the classic experience, and then they're seeing players with fully kitted out sets of way beyond classic, and it's just an immersion point. There's a chance we might loosen up on that later. For now, we're of the opinion that it should be, you know, very exclusive to get those skins. They will be available in some moment in time, but they will be something very precious and something to really look out for if you have the chance. Will skins be cross-realm or realm-locked, i.e. Alp skins on hip? They will be realm-locked, but because it's obviously, you know, tricky to allow that, but we may look to, within limits, you know, and this is very much a stretch goal, but let's say if you kill a certain player in RvR 50 times, for example, you will be able to choose a skin that he wears and claim it as your own, like a Midgard weapon or something. That's an hypothetical idea, but that's the only scenario where something like that could happen. By default, it is not allowed, no. Yeah, the super rare stuff is completely cosmetics, vanity, stuff like that. Will the skin models allow me to show off my toon's beautiful bare glutes? Depends what you're wearing, but I think if you have leathers, if you wear leather, then it's probably a good idea to incorporate it. If I missed durability topic, what about that? Durability, an item will not be destroyable. Like the con will drop, but the durability will not, I think. We have not explicitly talked about that internally, I think, but if I'm not mistaken, Atlas made that decision way back when, and it's probably still the case that that item cannot be destroyed because, yeah, I think it's just silly. But con will still be a thing. Super rare should remain super rare. I think so too. As Myth would ever die that many times. Yeah, that's a good point. Fair point. Okay, how to use a pattern. Basically, you apply it just like you would a charge or a proc that you crafted. You open your item, right click, then you press craft, then you get this window, and then you drop the pattern in there, and then the next thing happens. A fairy spawns, and she will enable you to pick your glow, for example, or your skin, and with a preview, and then you will accept it or confirm it, and then you have it on your weapon. I have to say that currently the implementation, especially of the glows, is a bit clunky. The way that the glows are implemented, every glow has a name, and that name correlates with certain choices in the whole list. But every time you get to see the whole list, but you only have one pattern, so you're only able to get one pattern. So it's for instance, in this example, I used the blue aura glow pattern. This is sitting here with twinkles. I clicked it, that's this glow. And when I confirm it, I will get the glow. But if, for example, I click hot cyan glow, it will show it, but it will not allow me to confirm it. It's a bit clunky right now. The whole system should be improved. I know that, we know that. But what you can do is look up for glow skins on the Uthgard database on the website, if you know where that is. Or you just buy a pattern, you make a new character, you get 10,000 BPs. The glow pattern is 10,000 BPs. You just buy a pattern and just check it out, see how it works, and then delete your character, make it anew, and you get another 10,000 BPs. You're good to go. So you have to play around with it a little bit, but yeah, you are able to get what you want. It's just like you have to like find out what the name is that for the one that you want, and then buy it. Do we need to have a certain level in a crafting skill to use these patterns? As of now, you do not, but probably on beta and on launch, you will need some kind of crafting skill or some kind of condition that's required to be able to use them. Yeah, just to bring crafting more into the picture of end game gear progression. It's a good question. 16.5 DPS, is that still locked at RR5? That's also a good question. I think MT our lead developer want to. His name is MT. He wanted to get rid of that, and I'm also in favor of getting rid of that because, you know, there's no reason why RAM rank 3 or 4 should be less powerful than RAM rank 5. Yes, it's nice to be RAM rank 5 and have it unlocked, but at the same time, it's kind of minor, and we want to boost low RAM rank players in RvR. So consider it scrapped, and if it's not already scrapped, it's on the list. Okay, so I think that's about it for the quality of life. We still have the classes and realm abilities. I think I will go over the realm abilities first and then do the classes. So I think for realm abilities, I'm gonna go by the spreadsheet here. It's a long list, so get ready, I guess. I think these are the passive, the active. Let's start with the actives. They're probably the most interesting. I'll try to zoom in a little bit so you guys can also read. And it's just alphabetically, because I didn't really bother linking them to their class, but I'll just go over them. Most people who are familiar with all RAs will know about this, but some of them are new from new RAs because we like them and we want to incorporate them, or we think the class needs some kind of buff or whatever. So I'll just go over everything. Allure of Death is the Bone Dancer, I think around rank 5, which shapeshifts the Bone Dancer into one of his pets. It's not an old array, but we have taken away its, its additional effect. This means the Bowmaster will shapeshift, but he will not gain any other advantage. It's basically a cosmetic array, you could say, like the Bard RR5, for example. You can use it to juke players, to confuse them, but it will not really give you any other benefit. That's why we're allowing it in that state. Ameliorating melodies. Bard unique array in old arrays. It's functions very much like the new version. Quite powerful, 100 health every 1.5 seconds for 30 seconds. So that is 1500 health for the entire group, which is significant. Armor of Faith gives you an armor factor boost. Pretty straightforward. You're more tanky. Could be that it's kind of useless this state. I don't know. Haven't really tested it much. This is where the player testing comes in. Avoid Pain, very powerful. It's kind of like the same thing, but it's Absorb instead of armor factor. For some reason, it's much more powerful that way. It's got to do with combat mechanics. I'm not super familiar with them, or at least not with the exact formula. So if you have to choose between the two, or if you have the option to choose between the two, probably want to go with Avoid Pain. Might be too powerful. Again, needs to be tested. But on average, you will notice that if you play the game tomorrow, almost everything will be very powerful. So you kind of have to do with that what you want. Battery of Life, this is like Divine Intervention somehow. Creates a health buffer for 1000 HP. And then Healing Priority matches Spread Heal. I'm not really 100% sure how it works exactly, but it's just like a group heal thing. Kind of like Divine Intervention, that's how I see it. Battle Yell. This is like a PvE realm ability. I don't know why you would want that. However, we are looking to change it so that it not only draws aggro of monsters, but also of pets. So I think full tanks get it and maybe a Warden or something. The idea is to also make it so it draws the aggros of controlled pets, so that, maybe a Minstrel and the Kabbalist have a pet on your healer. Instead of having to CC them or kill them, you can use this RA as well, and for the duration that it lasts, those pets will be uncontrollably aggroed to you as the tank rather than the support. That's very much still on paper, it's not in the game yet, but we're looking to change that so that RA at least becomes useful. And it very much fits the full tank archetype, so I think it could be an interesting take. Blade Dance. It's pretty much a PBAOE. Not really sure why some of these classes get it. It's relatively weak. It's like 350 damage minus resistances, so maybe 200 damage or something. I guess you can take it. Don't know why you would. It's typical old array stuff, but it's there. Brilliant Aura of Deflection is super powerful. It's 36% to all secondary magic resistances. It says here that it also affects crowd control, and I think that it's also the case on Blackthorn, which is also powerful. It is what it is. The RA is super powerful. It's an Enchanter unique RA. It's one of those things that is completely imbalanced in the sense that it's only for hip. All the realms have other realm abilities. It is what it is. This is one of the things we inevitably will also have to, tweak where necessary, although there will always be, a very strict imbalance between the realms in that sense. Bunker of Faith is basically Albion's counterpart to that ability. It gives 50% melee absorption for 30 seconds for the whole group, which is insanely high. You basically, as a melee, you can forget about even touching them if this is going. So, also very strong. Very good reason to run also 2 clerics, for example. Even though you probably typically want to run 2 clerics anyway, but this only adds to the mix, I guess. Charge is an interesting one. Back in old RAs, charge did not give any speed boost, it did not give any CC immunity, but we're changing that. The only thing it did was to give free sprint, which is laughable. But we are now giving it a 7 seconds 135% speed boost, which does not make you CC immune, but it does make you snare immune. And it also breaks on offensive action by the tank, by the charge user. So you're a berserker, you're getting peeled by a tank, you hit charge, suddenly you can run again, even you can run even faster than normal. And the first time you hit someone, the speed drops. And you are still, when all that's happening, if you get slammed somewhere along the way or missed, then you're just missed and you're done. You know, you're not saved from it by using charge. What does it do then? Essentially, it's like a quick gap closer used to like break away from peels or whatever, but not like to be completely invulnerable. And it breaks when you attack. So it's not like you stick on a caster, for instance, and you're like impossible to peel, you're impossible to slam. No, once you're attacking, you're vulnerable to everything again. So it's just to get from one place to the other, to get away from a snare. And in that way, you know, light tanks are also separate from heavy tanks. Because with old RAs, a BM and a hero, for example, wouldn't be that much different from each other. Everything considered, we kind of want to reinforce that archetype again. And this is one of the ways we're doing it. Concentration, very straightforward, resets your quick cast timer. That's it. Good RA, in my opinion, underrated. Corporal disintegration, it's an AoE dot that stacks with other dots. Okay, whatever. Probably gonna try to buff this at some point, but it's very meh at the moment. Dashing defense is a new Frontiers array, which we're giving to all the primary tanks. And you already know what it does. It gives you a chance to block parry. I think you fade as well. Maybe not. Maybe only block and parry for all group mates. Within 1,000 radius for 60 seconds, which is quite long. We may have to tweak that. I'm not really sure what the reuse duration on all these arrays is, but all the reuse durations are between 15 minutes and 30 minutes. Like Brilliant Aura Deflection is 30 minutes, Bunker of Fate as well. Charge is on a much lower cooldown, but yeah. Dashing defense is also quite high, I think 20 minutes or so. Defender of the Veil, this is a melee health buffer. 60 seconds, so you have to time it well. I think the new Frontiers version makes it so it's like 10 minutes or so. And you can just hit it and forget it. Maybe we'll make it as well for Veilwalkers here, so that you can just forget it instead of having to time it. But for now it's 60 seconds. Doombringer style, yeah, the styles, all arrays. Kind of useless, honestly. There's a lot of them. It works, but it's like 1.4 growth rates every like 15 minutes or so. It's one of the most ridiculously useless arrays ever. Yeah, we're probably gonna rework them or lower the cooldown or something like that. We're thinking about just deleting them outright, but they're iconic old array stuff, and there's literally no other server except Uthgard, I guess, where you can play it. So yeah, we're thinking of keeping it in a better package. Excited Frenzy, your pet attacks 50% faster than normal for 30 seconds. Okay, I guess, if you're summoning Spirit Master, because it's a Spirit Master only array. Do what you want, I guess. I have not ever seen it being used in a way that's like, whoa, he's using Excited Frenzy, watch out. But I don't know, maybe players will be creative and make use of it. I don't know, we'll have to see. Faith Healing. Oh, this is completely broken. This is a group-based Ignore Pain special RA for Paladins. Like, basically insta-heal, full 100%. One button, 2000 range, okay. One of the most straightforward spells you can think of, but quite powerful. I think it's 30 minutes as well, hopefully. Not really sure. If it's 15 minutes, it would be super OP. First aid, you all know this one. Force Heart Ambusher. One of those weird RAs, I guess. It's the Animist Unique RA. It spawns a large shroom, like it's a Fire and Forgive mushroom, and it just attacks enemies. It's whatever, I guess. Fungal Union, this is one of the new RAs we're adding. Very much like Allure of Death. Allows the enemies to turn into a shroom for 90 seconds and no other bonuses. So you can just, you know, be a shroom, yay. But for enemies it's kind of interesting because, you know, you're literally looking exactly like another shroom, so you do get like the confusion mechanic. And also we are changing enemies on Blackthorn so that you have a mobile pet if you do not have any Fire and Forget pets active. So if you have no Tanglers up and no damage pets up, Fire and Forget pets, then you can make your main shroom follow you and you can just use it like a normal pet. But once you start casting Tanglers and like Forest Hearts and stuff, then your main pet will also become static again. And if you put it on follow, then it will follow you, but it will kill off all the existing Fire and Forget shrooms. So that makes it so you are able to have a following pet, but you have to like choose between the two modes, rather than just have a mobile pet and have the regular pets. You now have to like choose tactically what you want to do. Do I want to play with a mobile pet, or do I want to play with Fire and Forget pets, or do I want to like make a mix, depending on the situation. Fury of the Gods, also known damage add, very strong actually. Midgard tank group, Celerity, Fury of the Gods, yeah, shit's gonna die if those two things are up, so. Grapple, point blank 350 radius route that immobilizes the movement of all enemies in the area for 12 seconds. PBOE route, 12 seconds. Very strange concept, especially because it's on tanks. You have to spec trip first to get it, which is also like 10 points or so. It's a PBOE snare for 12 seconds. I don't know, I've never seen it being really used because it's also a lot of points invested, but I guess it could be useful in such situations. Especially because it allows you an extra peel mechanic. So yeah. Group Purge, yeah, everyone knows this. Super OP. Your entire group gets purged. Just like that. Okay. Nice. Hip only. Hail of Blows is an attack speed like a haste boost. Attack speed boost. Like a haste, it's an active ability, 5% per level. You can spec like 3 levels, 60 seconds. Kinda meh, honestly. I'd rather go with passives than this one. But it is what it is. Icarer, Icarer of the Deep. Extremely good RA. One of the best RAs in the game, in my opinion. Basically, it's instant cast. It's 1857 range, so bolt range. AoE route that ignores any other type of route that is already active. It will always apply. It will not give immunity. Yeah, basically it works always if you're in range, and it's instant. So yeah, Shaman only RA, very nice. Ignore Pain. It does not reset immunity, I think. It just ignores it. Juggernaut, ignore pain, yeah, this is self-heal, obviously. Juggernaut summons a pet that's of the user's level that lasts for 4 minutes. Kind of like the Animist RA, just like a... Except you can control this pet as well. And you cannot cast this if you have your current pet active. So it's more like, oh, my pet got killed. Let me just use Juggernaut and use a new pet, I guess. It's a lot of points though. I think like 10 or 14 points. For something that's I would personally probably not use, honestly. Whatever. Again, this is one of the things that we need to test, and like, if all players decide it's not worth it, something needs to happen, right? There needs to be like a meaningful choice whether to get it or not. Otherwise, if it's there but it's never used, then it might as well not be there. Long shot, you get 150% range. That is crazy because that puts your range at like 3000 or so. I don't know, just ridiculously long range. It's only one shot, so okay, but you need it to get volley, so that's also prerequisite. I'll check your question in a second, yeah. Round set disable sneaks. Yeah, I guess you'll have to live with them, unfortunately. I'm not a very big fan of stealthers either, but yeah. We may also look towards something that Eden did, is to make it less interesting for players for stealthers to group, like, and cause havoc from a very safe place. But none of that is implemented yet. People can heavily abuse stealthers during alpha, so I fully expect them to do so. And prove why it's probably a good idea to nerf them, but we'll see. For now, nothing custom is in place for that. MCL, yeah, classic. Gives you mana. We reduced reuse timer from 5 minutes to 3 minutes. So, negative Maelstrom, AoE dot, which increases every tick. Ground targeted, so it's static on a location. It's nice in keeps, but otherwise meh. Perfect recovery. This is the healer RA. You know how this works. You get like a perfect res. No res sickness. Purge. Yeah, that's, if you don't know this, then you have never played the game before. So it's something that removes all negative effects, but I guess everyone here played the game. Raging Power, full power heal. Rain of Fire, Ice, and Annihilation. This is a 10% damage add to all melee attacks, and I think bows as well. For some reason, old arrays had 3 versions of them, and you could not stack them, but you can alternate them, I guess. And I think the reuse timer is 10 minutes. Maybe worth using them. Not really sure. Right now, damage adds and damage shields do a lot of damage on Blackthorn. Probably a bit too much. But yeah, we'll have to see. Ravager, combat style, Razorback styles. Reflex attack, I personally find it's a bit underwhelming, but I didn't really test it profoundly. 30 seconds of fire only RA. You'll automatically counterattack any melee attack. Which is strong, but it's on a timer. Like, it's like, I don't know how long the timer is. Maybe it's even 30 minutes. So yeah, if it's 30 minutes, we probably have to lower it, but we'll have to see. It needs to be tested. Resilience of Death. This is a custom. No, this is a unique RA for Bone Dancer from old realm abilities, and it's just buffs your pets basically. It's also, in my opinion, I don't know how valuable it is. Maybe in I don't know. I just cannot imagine giving up other RAs for this, but I don't really know how powerful it is exactly. Rune of Decimation, Trap RA. I think it's currently bugged in the sense that it immediately detonates when you drop it. So you can basically use it as an instant PBOE at the moment, which is pretty crazy, but we might have to change that. But I think it's also kind of nice that it works like that, because honestly, if you have to put it on the ground and wait for someone to hit it, it's such a clunky mechanics. Like, yes, there's mile gates and stuff, but honestly, yeah. I would like to keep it like this and just make it instant so you can use the PBOE. Just because also the Rune Master does not have an PBOE at the moment. So it's not like you're putting it on Spirit Master where you're like extra buffing the PBOE potential of a already PBOE class. So yeah, but you can also put it on the ground. It lasts 10 minutes, I think, or 20 minutes even. So you can stack 2 of them on top and trap someone. But yeah, it's kind of a funky RA. Second wind, the reuse timer has been lowered to 5 minutes because otherwise nobody ever would buy it because it's just free endurance. But if you think back about like the potion limitations and potions being only endurance 2 and long wind 2, you know, this becomes more interesting, right? Because it's another aspect where you can start managing your endurance if you really feel like you need it. It's also not that expensive, I think. I don't know. It's fairly viable, I'd say, if you use a lot of endurance. Sea Hidden automatically detects stealth checks within 60-50 radius that are not using camouflage. And I think also if they're also not using Sea Hidden. So basically you can detect other archers or other stealthers, other assassins that do not have Sea Hidden from a longer range. Kind of straightforward. Passive. Severing the Tether. Very powerful RA. It sends all the pets of enemy pet users back to target their owners instead of the realm that they're being tasked to attack. It's a mentalist only RA, so I think it's 500 range. It's quite large, and I think it instantly kills Turkish pets as well. So if you're being swarmed by pets, drop this motherfucker, and suddenly the enemy group is in trouble due to their own pets. I think it lasts, I don't know how long it lasts. Radius 1000, okay, that's even more. Yeah, it's huge. No, I think it lasts like 30 seconds or so. Shadowrun, probably the most powerful RA in the game, is Shadowblade's unique RA. It allows you to run at twice the run speed while stealthed for 30 seconds, which is probably most useless RA that all stealthers get, but whatever. We're going to hopefully find a way to make it worthwhile, but yeah, for now we don't really have a good idea on it. We are welcoming all opinions and suggestions on this front. Siege Bolt, if you like to hit doors, this is great. Does a shit ton of damage against doors. Yeah, Turgist only RA. I don't know why Turgist, but yeah. Soldier's Barricade, I think this is Armsman only RA. Kind of like Bunker of Fate, but the armor factor version is quite strong. Yeah, you become tankier. That's pretty much it against melee hits. Speed of sound. Your group moves at twice the normal speed for 30 seconds and ignores all crowd control effects. True. And then it says performing an offensive action will break this effect. So this is like new speed of sound. This ability cannot be cast while missed or stunned. If a group member is under the effect of crowd control and becomes affected by the spell, he will be able to move freely until the effects fade. Speed of sound does not cleanse him from his crowd control effects. So You'll just be able to move until speed of sound fades, and if you're then still messed or still rooted, you become rooted or messed again. If you're messed and speed of sound is on you, I believe you will be able to just attack. And if then the speed of sound runs out, and the mess still is there, you will be messed again. Sputin's Legacy. This is a New Frontiers RA. I think it's the old healer R5 or something. And the healer can cast it on himself, and then if he dies within 30 seconds, he gets the ability to self-resurrect, basically. And then from there, if his group also didn't release, he can technically res his entire group and they can just keep playing. Which is fun, but yeah. We wanted to give healers some more juice, so to say, some more fun stuff to mess around with, compared to druids with group purge and clerics with buff. So this is not really OP, I would say. It's just like, okay, the group can resurrect and do some outplays with groups that were perceived to be dead, but then suddenly are resurrected. Nice for in keeps also, perhaps. So could be interesting. Static Tempest. Ground targeted radius cloud that lasts 30 seconds. Everyone also knows this array. Stuns every 7 seconds for 3 seconds. And with the original old arrays, it would do nothing if the target was stun immune. And also it would give stun immunity after the first tick. I don't know whoever designed that, but it was pretty retarded. But now on Blackthorn it stuns always, it ignores stun immunity, but it does not reset it. So not like with New Frontiers where you can use it to really, really milk your slam timers. It's a Tane only array here, and it does not reset immunity, but it will always land stun if the player is in range. So I would say it's a fair array now, and it's still a great array to use, but it's not super OP anymore. Strike the Soul, a buff which makes it 25% more difficult for enemies to resist the caster spell. This is a Necromancer unique array, so basically your spells will not get resisted anymore. Okay, I know, it's not so interesting, I guess. Big active array. If it was passive, it would be quite strong, but the Empty Mind grants the user 60 seconds of increased resistances. This will also affect CC duration, so, but it's like 5% per tier, so it's kinda not very strong, I think. Maybe we'll have to buff it a bit, I don't know, we'll have to see. Torn Wheatfield, Warden unique array. It's an invisible array. It only shows when you get hit by it. So not like New Frontiers where you just see, oh, there's a circle there, I should probably not go there. No, like the user casts it and you'll only realize you're in it when you get hit. We're gonna try to make it so the initial cast also gives like a small effect. So the players that pay attention see like, oh shit, the Torn Wheatfield is dropped there and they can act accordingly. But right now that doesn't happen. So now it's like really like the old school Torn Wheatfield where you didn't see anything and it was just sitting there on the ground. And you basically had to run into it to know where it was. And even then, you would not really know where exactly it was because you need like 2 or 3 ticks to see where you do get hit and where you don't. It's pretty powerful now. It's probably a bit too powerful. But it is what it is. We'll look to change that where needed. Trip, this is the one I talked about earlier, the snare. True Sight, detect all hidden characters for 60 seconds. I think this does give like the full range of clip range. Stealth detection, but it's like 30 minutes reuse timer, and it's like Hunter Ranger and Scout only. Thunder style, another style. Unquenchable Thirst of Souls is the RvR unique array, and it does a PBOE life drain, which is a cool concept. It's not that strong damage-wise, but it does also give you health. So if you use it smart, then it could be quite powerful and fun to use, I think. Vanish, straight up, you hide, and then you can PA again if you want. So you can PA, use Vanish, immediately PA again, but you still have your swing timer, right? Your swing delay. So if you have a swing delay of 3 seconds, you can PA, Vanish, and then within after 3 seconds, when your swing time comes up again, you can PA again, and then Creeping Death, and then yeah. But this is a infiltrator only array. Viper is a Nightshade only array, which for 30 seconds doubles the damage of all your dots. So yeah, you're just gonna do a lot of damage for 30 seconds. Void style, another style. Volcanic Pillar, wizard only array, straightforward, bolt range, AoE DD spell, instant cast, 500 radius, 900 damage. What you need to do is you need to invite 5 wizards in your group and then use it at the same time and everything dies. That's pretty much it. Every 30 minutes. Oh no, actually, maybe it's faster. I think it's 15 minutes. Yeah, so use that. Volley, I'm not so familiar with Volley. I tried it for the first time in my life like two or 3 days ago. It's actually pretty powerful, but you need a long shot to get it. Archers who are familiar with it will probably think it's familiar, and I think it's pretty powerful. But you have like a minimum range that you need to be at. Okay. Whip of Encouragement, your pet moves at twice the normal speed. It's like the Excited Frenzy. This is also a Spirit Master only array. Your pet moves faster. Okay, wow. Thanks, yay, I guess. Whirling Dervish, increase the chance to swing both weapons for dual wield or Celtic dual classes, and also hand-to-hand for savages. But for left axe, it does extra damage, and for hand-to-hand, it only increases the dual wield chance. So not the triple or quad hit, but only the dual hit. So this is a wrong description. I'll probably edit it. So dual. Okay. Winter Moon style and a style. Red of Champion. A champion only RA. PBOE DD. Kinda like Blade Dance, but champion only and stronger. Damage is 750 instead of like 350. It gets fall off damage and resistances also, but that's the case for like all of them, so it's not really unique to Red of Champion. Okay, so the percent, what is the percentage increase for Whirling Dervish? It's 5%, I think, per tier. Let's see, questions. Is Sus Minstrel only like Classic? Yes, only Albion will have Sus. Sus will be nerfed a little bit. Well, a lot, I guess. Old Sus you wouldn't break upon attacking, so you would just like go crazy on it for 30 seconds. The new version that we are having does break on attacking, but it's still extremely powerful. And yes, it's Minstrel only. I have to scroll up more, I think. This is very specific. Yeah, but for balancing sakes, it really does like SBs are weak at since. Shadowrun, yeah. yes, we will look to balance shadow blades, but play them first, you know. Play them and see and point out where they're weak or and why, and we're not gonna. I'm not familiar enough with shadow blades in the stealth meta to do that on my own. So we need feedback for that. Sneaks are the devil, yeah. It's okay, free RPs if you can find them, yes. 9 seconds, no chain, Dragonfang, I don't know. Yes, Dragonfang is 9 seconds on Blackthorn. Can Rangers climb walls here? It was a thing back in the day. I'm not sure. I don't really know how, if that's the case here or not. I have to check. Rain of Fire, Ice. Nerf Shadowrun. Yeah, I know, right? Shadowblade was OP on Eden. Let them suffer here. It's fine. We'll see. Turn it into a remedy. Remedy was my suggestion. That's actually a good suggestion. Although I'm not too familiar with Remedy myself, but we'll look into it. All assassins need Vanish. And they all need a 9-second stun, I guess, as well. Will you have this video available afterwards? Yes. They said they would, yes. Okay. Yeah, the char planner is a bit bugged at the moment. All classes get purged. It's true. Hybrids having that's going to be interesting. Yeah, and they also get like 55%, so it's quite potent, and full tanks only get 20% more. Maybe it's too much. I don't know. We'll have to see. Then again, I don't think any BMs will be obsolete or savages or full tanks, you know, with the tools they get. So I think we can make it work. But again, it needs feedback, you know. So Vanish does seem really strong in this form. Yeah, it's true, but yeah, it's true. It's also just like a one-time use. Yeah, you can PA someone twice, but then if even then you don't kill him, you just wasted your getaway RA, I guess. I don't know. It's strong, it's fun to use, but it's also 30 minutes timer, I think, so. Okay, so let's go over to the passives. I have another, okay, no. I'll just do it like this to make, I know what most of them are, so I don't really need the description. So, let's start with the most OP one, arrow salvaging. Gives you 10% chance to salvage your arrows and not use them instead of using them when you shoot them. I don't really know what to say about this array. The fact that this exists is ridiculous. I guess you must be extremely poor to get this array, but then I can't imagine someone being so poor that they can not afford arrows, but they can afford this array. I don't know, we might delete it or just let it sit there as a homage to all arrays silliness, but take it at your own risk, I guess. So, augmented acuity, constitution, dexterity, quickness, strength, we all know these. The scaling has been adjusted. Just a small notice has not been reflected on the char planner yet. I think the char planner just even shows higher values still, but we are going with this. And this is live in the game. So use this as your reference, or use the game itself as your reference. But the chart planner definitely needs some work. The thing is, our devs are working hard to get you the server itself and the experience itself at the moment. So we don't really have time to mess with the chart planner at the moment. So in the future, the chart planner should just be represented, of course. But as you can notice, the values are higher than even New Frontier scaling. Why? Because the old Frontier scaling was also very early rank heavy, in a sense that the value didn't scale. Augmented acuity, for example, was 6. There was only 5 levels. So it was like 6, 6, 6, 6. So 6, 12, 18, 24, and then 30, I think, was the max. Yeah. And the cost was 1, 3, 6, 10, 14. So you would have like 12 was like at 4 points, and then 18 was like at 6 points total. Sorry, 10 points total. So, and then for like another 10 points, you would have another 6 points, which is like very, very shitty value. But we're trying to keep that sort of front-heavy value and make it so the higher tiers are much less worthwhile. For example, so you get 6, 6, 6, then 5, 5, and then 4, 4, 4, 4. So, but the scaling for NF is the same. So 1, 1, 2, 3, 3, 5, 5, 7, 7, I think. So for 5, 5, and 7, 7, you get like 4 points. But here you get 6 points. 6, 6, 6 for 2 points, and then 5 for 3 points, 5 for 3 points, and then 4. So the scaling is a bit different, but it hopefully makes it so lower RAM rank players are more competitive versus higher RAM rank players, right? Because they have a much better chance at getting like to RAM 4 or 5 than they are to getting rank 9. Okay, so avoidance of magic reduces the magic damage taken. It's a secondary resist. If you don't know what that is, look it up. I'm not gonna explain it in detail, but it also affects CC duration. And if you do not have that, it will reduce more CC duration. But if you do not have that, CC will be longer on you anyway. So if you have that, it's almost like 5% or so max at max level at 9 or so. Still a good array. I think it's very important for high RAM rank tanks to take this, to be more beefy. Yeah, I like it. I like the concept. That obviously you need this. Everyone needs this. Everyone who can get this probably should get it, unless you're like a hardcore solo player. Total points cost for that is I think 22 points. So it's using the old point scaling, but the new value scaling. I got an interesting DM for a second. Yeah. Okay, so Dodger, nice array, unique to all the old realm abilities. It gives you more chance to evade. Simple as that. Following the same scaling as avoidance of magic, I think here as well the old scaling was like 3, 3, 3, 3, 3, which gave you 15% max. This gives you 2% per level at every stage. So 80%, it's 18% max, which is more than before, but yeah, you also get easier to like 10%. On average, all the passives are boosted. You know, as you can see, you get much better value out of specking like level 3 on all these versus before, versus old arrays, but even versus new arrays. So what does that mean? It means players on average are gonna be more powerful early, but they're usually less capable of making a bigger gap with more ROM ranks. Usually. I don't know. We have to see how it pans out. Maybe it's a retarded decision. We have to roll it back, but it's also nice just to be more powerful early on, because not everyone is going to be high ROM rank or have the time to do that. So we'll have to see how it pans out. Duelist Reflex is the same as Whirling Dervish, only it's a passive now, so more chance to dual wield. Yeah, could be nice. I don't know. I don't really know like the math behind it. Maybe it's worth taking, maybe not. We'll have to see. Ethereal Bond gives you more power. It is what it is. Power management will be a thing on Blackthorn. So, oh, that I forgot to mention that earlier. Their potions will be. You have the instant potion and the normal potion, and both will be on a separate timer. So the instant potion will be on 3 minutes, and the normal potion will be on 1 minute. I know historically free shards did not do that, but at a couple of years ago I looked it up, and apparently that's how it's supposed to work. And free shards were just like, we're not gonna do that. But on Blackthorn we are gonna do that. So there's that. Falcon's Eye, I think this is critting for archers. Yeah. Just like Mastery of Pain, but just for bow damage. Lifter, yeah, you can carry more. Long Winds, you can sprint without a bit less endurance cost. Majestic Will. We are transforming this array into something possibly quite OP. We do not know yet. But it used to be like an active where you had less resistances for your spells. We're turning it into a passive. You remember Mastery of Focus would give you higher spell levels, but with cap at level 50, so you would still have like the 12.5% ability spell resist cap. This finally allows you to go under the 12.5. So, and the maximum here would be 9%. So the lowest possible spell resist value you could get on Blackthorn on paper, I guess, is math 3.5 resist chance. Yeah, we're turning it into resist pierce. Not really, because I think resist pierce is more like against like buffed resists, but this actually lowers the chance to get resisted, like the baseline chance. So if you have a level 50 spell, normally it's like 12.5. But then if you spec into this, you can lower it. So I don't know how OP it would be or whatever. It's also quite cheap to get. It's cheaper than... It's kind of like that. So this totally would be like 20 points to get. I'm not really sure if it's balanced or not. You guys will have to tell me. And we'll have to go from there. So, okay, then Master of Parrying. 25% is the total max. Again, scaling in a very similar way. 3% up until here, and then 2% for the last two. Archery, yeah. This firing speed of the bow. Okay, yeah. Arms is swing speed for weapons. Blocking, Mastery of Focus gives you levels, also boosted at early levels. You typically wouldn't get this more than like level 2 or 3 anyway, so it's kind of nice that it's higher level now. Just because, unless you're like tri-spec or, yeah, I guess you can, yeah, whatever. It's still good. It's still, it does what it does. It works. Master of Healing gives you You never guess it. Better healing. Mastery of Magery gives you better Magery, as in better spell damage. Mastery of Pain. This is the crit stuff. Just like Falcon's Eye. And the original max value for critting was 25, I think, with all arrays. I have to look it up. Let's see, Mastery of Pain. Yeah, 5% per. So 25 was the absolute max, and we all know that the max possible chance to crit is 50%, and the base chance is 10%. So this gives you a total of 40% max rather than 25, or the original New Frontiers where it was 39, which is probably overtuned. So yeah, Mastery of Stealth. I wanted to mention something else that I forgot earlier, but I also already forgot about it. Anyway, Mastery of Stealth, this gives you, I think, only speed? Movement speed, yeah, that's about it. Mastery of the Arcane, we tested that earlier. It gives you better buffs. It allows buff classes to just get better value on their buffs. Very useful for spec buff classes who buff the whole group and they want to give cap buffs, then they can invest in this RA. Mastery of the Art is Old Frontier's version of cast speed bonus. So yeah, combine this with Mastery of Dexterity to cast faster. I think Blackthorn will be less fast-paced than Eden, obviously, but it will still be decent, I think. The way we've set things up with Mastery of the Art and Augmented Dexterity, you will be able to go to a fairly good middle point of cast speed fairly easily. Maybe even too much. I don't know. Casters will be strong. That's all I can say. Mastery of Water, you swim faster. People laugh at this RA, but it's super OP in Tidranki. In Old Frontiers, there's not enough water to make it count, but in Tidranki, you can really, really own people with this, especially if you're a ranged character and you take like level 5 or so. Prevent Flight, very nice RA. Gives you passive chance to snare for 35%. Snare does not give immunity, is unbreakable even, so really good. Yeah, this is the old RA system, 2001. Regeneration, one of the crappiest arrays on the list. It gives you better health regen 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and this is like 34 points. This is completely ridiculous. We'll have to rework this at some point, but for now it's not a priority. Serenity, same principle. We may boost it a little bit. We'll have to see if it's really needed. Stoicism, 20%. Originally a New Frontiers RA. We introduced it because we're switching most passive to New Frontier scaling. That means death scaling was different, and that also means we're giving death to hybrids, and all this combined made it so that we have Stoicism as well, instead of just death. This will be available to Friar, Warden, and Scald. But they will have to pay, I think, 7 points for it. And all the other classes, like the Blade Master Hero, Savage, Berserker, Warrior, Armsman, and Mercenary, they get this for free at like level 40 or so. Tireless, you get this at level 5, I think. It's basically Endurance 1. Yeah. Not much to say about it. The old Tireless was shit. We are using the new Tireless, so, and probably even a better version of the new Tireless. Toughness, we heavily buffed this. The max is now 450, and you get 50, 50, 50, 50, 50. It will probably be worth like taking it for 2 points at least. I think. You'll have to play with it. I don't know. Depends on what class you're on. Casters get better value, relatively speaking, I guess, because 100 health on a low health character is relatively more worth, and yeah, you know the deal. Veil recovery, yeah, this lowers the duration of rest sickness. We are going to change this probably into an active use, just like we changed Majestic Will into a passive use. We were probably changing this into an active use where it just cleanses your rest sickness every, let's say, 15 minutes or so. Because this is completely useless and we'll want to reuse it, rework it. Wild Arcana, 4A, 12, blah, blah, blah. This is a really nice RA. It allows you to crit dots, debuffs, which means stat debuffs and resist debuffs, and disease, and I think resist debuffs on multi-component DD spells. So if a DD spell has a DD and a resist inside it, it debuffs. It has a chance to crit the resist value, and if it has a snare and a DD, it has a chance to crit the snare. And maybe also the champ insta snare, but I'm not really sure. Disease can crit, yeah. So when a disease crits, it's increasing the value that it snares. It's increasing the value that that it reduces your strength, and I think it's also increasing the value that it's reducing healing effectiveness. So a crit on a disease is pretty potent. Okay, it used to work on champ snare, yeah. So then it should also work on Blackthorn. So I think it's a really cool array. It's really powerful. It's probably borderline broken as well. There's a reason why Mythic took it away with new arrays, I guess. But this is what old arrays are for. Broken shit. Wild healing is critical percentage on your healing. Wild minion is critical percentage on your pets. I think it works also on cost damage for pets. Not really sure 100%, but you have to test it. Wild power is critical damage, also 30% max. No, I think it's only for wild minion is only for controlled pets, I think. I'm not for 100% sure. You have to test it. But I believe it's only for controlled pets. So that wraps it about up. We covered a lot. I could go over every class specifically, but I'm not gonna do that. Most of the things are either 1.65 or tweaked a little bit. You have to use a chart planner. Chart planner is mostly accurate for classes' main specs, not realm abilities. Realm abilities also mostly accurate, but some stuff is missing, so best way to check is just do it in game. Yeah, so I'll wait for a couple more questions and then we'll wrap it up. Yeah, Wild Minion 9 on enemy pets would be pretty crazy. Blackthorn UI. Oh yeah. Oh, it's a work in progress, but it's a custom UI. Our launcher has a custom UI element, and there's, for example, a journal and a crafting window, which I haven't put it in there yet. And it's basically to make like the journal better or the crafting window better. And you will be able to use it and test it in the alpha. But it's currently on the old launcher, and we're gonna renew the launcher so that it works better and more responsive. Because right now there's like a slight delay when you use it, and I really don't like that. But yeah, it's gonna be better. But it's really useful actually. Solo PvP looking for fight system. Are you talking about like the predator system or the bounty system, or? Because we are looking to add those things as well, predator and bounty. What would you recommend now? Ghost or Bison? I personally use Bison, but I think Ghost is really good as well. Can we get cost per point for arrays added to planner, please? Yes, I know it's I would also have to like to have it added, but right now the devs are focusing on other stuff. But it will come, yeah. If all goes well, is there a chance for a launch in 2025? There is a chance, yes. But we need an extensive beta phase, which will be several months, easily 4, 5, 6 months, if not more. And in order to start beta, we still have a lot of preparation to do. We planned this new Insta50 phase because we want to give the players something to get their hands on, and to be able to test our end game, which was before tomorrow. It's still untested. So we want to have the most biggest bugs out there while you guys can play something and while we can prepare for beta. But we think it will be at least several weeks before we can move on to beta. Because we'll probably have some bugs to fix that you guys find, and also some systems to prepare for beta. So, you know, it will be some time, and then beta starts, and then it will be several months. So you can easily see how we're only launching end of the year, maybe beginning of next year. But it's hard to say, you know. We'll launch when we're ready, but yeah. Will we be able to take keeps in the i50? Yes. Yep. You should be able to take keeps like normal. Yeah, you signed up and you got matched versus another guy and you fought, killed him, and you got RP bonus for that. Yes. I am talking to the designer. The designer of that system was a developer in OpenDeck, and he's still helping us as well. And I'm talking to him about re-implementing exactly that system. So it's called the Predator system, and we are probably going to have that hopefully still during this i50, so we can also test it as well. I haven't had the chance to really, you know, double check the idea that he has, but I think we'll just choose something, think about it for a second, or more than a second, implement it, and then let you guys test it and see from there, you know. Siege machines available, or do we have to wall on the doors for now as 6? That's a good question, actually. I'm very unaware of our siege mechanic systems at the moment. I think we will be able to add them if it's really a problem, or adjust the door strength or whatever. But I would assume rams are working and stuff like that, but I'm not really sure. I don't dare to answer that with full confidence. I'm just speaking for myself, but I know a lot of solo players that want that on all free shots. Yeah, I do too. Solo gameplay is very, very precious to us, and we are not scared to install any group gated content or stuff like that. So What matters the most is making it fun. We think making it fun for solo players is the foundation of RvR. You know, if you can't have fun when you're alone, the chances are you're not even gonna log in the first place. So BA spec BDs with celerity will make it faster. True. Yeah, there is ways to speed it up, absolutely. Okay. I am going to start wrapping up, and this will be a pretty long clip, so players who need to watch it tomorrow or whatever, later tonight, will know what to do. It's like already 3 hours. I guess I will see you guys tomorrow in game, and hopefully you'll find all the bugs and we can get to beta faster. Thanks for joining, guys.